Hey you guys, so I'm sure by the title, a lot of you already have some preconceived notions about what I'll be discussing, but before you harbor your judgments, I just want to say this. In my past videos, I have always maintained that I am a traditionalist in the sense that men are the providers and builders of the community while women provide a warm and nurturing environment for the family. And the man is supposed to support the woman, his children, and the woman loves and supports her man in return. And I believe also that the man is supposed to provide financially. And the reason that I'm saying all of these things is because I recently watched a show called Paternity Court. And if you guys are familiar with the show, that's good. But for those who don't know what it is, I'll expound a little bit. So the synopsis of the show is that the plaintiff will petition the defendant to take a paternity DNA test to determine if the man is the father of a child or children, because for some it helps give them closure, and for others it may be more of like a legal issue, like seeking reimbursement for the vital resources that babies require, or even if a modification needs to be performed for a child's birth certificate. So I'm going to show you various clips from the show, and before I do, I just want to say this, that this isn't meant to slander black men or make them look bad, but it's just to highlight a recurring pattern of behavior I keep seeing and how it creates a domino effect in which the relationships we enter into really don't require much effort on the man's side. So watch this first clip and then I'll show you what I mean.
Well, when I told him that I was pregnant, he kind of like was shocked a little bit. Then he was like, "She gonna be my 13th daughter? Like, how can I take care of all of them?"
His what child?
13th kid.
13 kids, Mr. Guy?
No, Your Honor. I told her I had 8.
He told me he had 8. And then he said, when I told him I was pregnant, he said 13.
Okay, so first off, unacceptable. So you mean to tell me that this man has 13 or 8 children? He laughs and then he smirks about it because this is somehow a joke? Like, I don't get it. Now, let me just say this, because a lot of people will probably be tempted to come on here and defend this abhorrent behavior, and some will say, oh, well, back then it was a black man's job to serve as a breeding factory, or, oh, black men used to have so many wives, the whole nine. And it's extremely annoying having to debunk these ridiculous talking points. Equating a current behavior to something that happened in the past is not only delusional and ridiculous, but you have to think about how having children everywhere and being with multiple partners is not only dangerous, but it also leaves you open and vulnerable to STIs and STDs. And while I do agree that bringing a child into the world is a beautiful thing, I believe that you should only do so if the two parties agree and consent, that they both will love the child unconditionally, and if financially the child can be provided for. And really, I don't see any comedic value to him casually laughing at this. It's a praise not worthy of deduction to me, and it's execrable in nature.
Or in her car seat, he was like, I gotta go run an errand. And he never came back, so he just left her there. Like, he just left us there for like months.
Right, so this is going to go to the faction of black men that fit the narrative of the typical absentee father. Not all black men, but to the ones that it applies to. I have to say that once again, this behavior is inexcusable, and you should all know this. You're mature enough to engage in these intimate intercourses, and you are well aware of the outcome. You definitely need to step up and be prepared to take care of a child if one is produced. Now, I'm not saying that there aren't women who may be promiscuous and you have questions regarding paternity. That's okay. But in my opinion, I do think you should be there for the child, because in the case that you are awaiting paternity results, you can enter into a judgment and be reimbursed for the money spent on expenses if the child isn't yours. But I say all this to say that we as black men can counter this stereotype about absentee fatherhood if we just make the initiative and stop redirecting blame towards everyone and everything else. Part of being a man is knowing when to accept accountability and admitting when we make mistakes to create a better version of ourselves.
I'm gonna just put it out there. He's a user. He used me. He lived at my house. He didn't pay rent. He didn't have a job. He used me.
We were staying with her for a second, but
So why were you even over there if you said the baby definitely wasn't yours, it was the milkman's baby?
They don't even deliver milk no more. How is the milkman baby?
It was for convenience. I mean, it was just like, we was messing around. We was steady messing around.
Okay, so this is the part that I really want to place heavy emphasis on, and it's the primary reason for this video. So you have a black man that has multiple children. He is staying with this woman, doesn't pay rent, doesn't pay bills, just completely deplorable. And I don't want to sound like I'm preaching, I'm only offering my opinion, but to the sector of black men that engage in this act of degeneracy, repopulating the planet with no form of sustainable income, you all have got to stop doing that. There is no way I can have a woman take care of me, pay rent, pay bills, and I contribute absolutely nothing, and then expect to be called a man. That's what I like to call the baby boy complex. Y'all remember that 2001 movie with Jodie? He was living with Yvette, going back and forth between her and this other baby's mother, then to his mom, and he has basically cheated with other women. Just the entire environment was just filled with dysfunction, and we shouldn't normalize that type of conduct. I mean, in that movie, Jodie didn't have a car before Yvette. He just had a bike, and the whole movie was just a mess. But it painted a very real reality. For some of us as black men, we think all we have to do is bring ourselves into relationships with black women and nothing else. No type of investments, no stocks, no savings account, no car, no home of our own. And because this seems like the norm from the perspective of some black men, it's unfortunate. But now, even our black women are conditioned to think that they should settle for less. Black women are the most educated group of women in the United States. They're extremely successful. Some of them have their own businesses. They're doctors, nurses, CEOs, and hold very high prestigious titles. And again, I'm not trying to generalize all black men, because other black men already know what time it is and get this. But for the portion of black men who don't provide anything, please disengage from this behavior. Stop making black women have to hold you down when you don't provide anything. They shouldn't have to support a child that you both made, and then she has to carry you as dead weight. There is no way that we should have this culture where black women have to hold the black man down if the love, care, and financial support are not reciprocated. And you guys know from my community tab that I always talk about the importance of mutual exchange within relationships. And what I mean by this is, obviously, yes, love, trust, honesty, communication, and loyalty, but also making sure that black men and black women together create infrastructure for a family. The man should be able to create a sturdy concrete foundation. The woman should be able to take care of what's going on in the house built on this foundation. And again, this is just my opinion. I know this may not be the case in everyone's situation, but I just want to reiterate that I am a traditionalist, and women shouldn't take care of men. Men should take care of themselves and their family in a spontaneous manner. And based on this man's comportment, I just want to send a warning to black women to be very cautious of men like this, because a man with that many children, I don't know if he's ever been married or not, but regardless, there's a lot of baggage. And I know we all carry some form of baggage, but no one is perfect. But in a situation like this, you have to ask, what is this man's value when it comes to relationships? Someone who probably doesn't understand or cares to honor commitment. He sleeps with everyone unprotected. What do these things say about a man's assessment as it pertains to his character? And before everyone comes on here and says, oh, well, what about black women having that many children? Look, I know that that is an issue as well, but we have to tackle one thing at a time. And this video serves as more of a corrective action geared towards the degenerate actions of some black men.
And it's like, Your Honor, I get so angry at myself. Like, I don't ask him for money. I don't ask him for anything but time. I get so angry at myself because maybe I did make some mistakes in our relationship. Not as far as like sleeping with other people, but being a B, you know, like cussing him out or getting angry because he wasn't doing what he was supposed to for our family. So yes, maybe.
Okay, so black men, do you understand how emasculating this is to our image? This is how society perceives all of us, because unfortunately we don't get the benefit of individuality. So this young black girl is stating that she never asked him for money. She never asked him for anything, basically. Which, first off, he should provide to her willingly. Second, never internalize anger and harbor it towards yourselves for the shortcomings of a black man. Black men, this falls on us. It should tear away at our masculinity that a woman is assuming a role that's meant for a man to be in. How does this not bother this man that he is completely devoid of morality as it pertains to providing? She's literally not asking for much. She said that the only thing she's asking from him is basically for time. And this is sad because she only wants a bare minimum. And the fact that this black man and black men with his mentality aren't even capable of doing that really speaks volumes. And I'm here to say that this makes all of us look bad. I mean, y'all are really making us look bad, and it's sad to say, but this is why black women are starting to date other cultures of black men, because a significant portion of American black men share this degenerate mentality of not being able to provide the minimum essentials to a woman, whereas other cultures of black men recognize and understand their role as a man basically is in a faithful, committed relationship. And this woman shouldn't blame herself at all because of his own personal insecurities he's projecting onto her. I'm going to leave the link in the description box for this video so you guys can finish watching it if you want, but I want to react to one more video because I feel it's important that we learn why this behavior is contemptuous.
Miss Peoples?
No, ma'am. He fooled me. I've been taking care of this man for 4 years. So to be with me. So I took initiative and say, okay, we're gonna make this a relationship. And I've been there from day one. I do it all. From taking care of Myra, taking care of him. He's like my third child. So how am I fooling anybody? He's fooling me, deceiving me.
Interesting to note the odd and uncanny resemblances throughout these cases, and so it really makes you wonder if this is a form of comportment that's unique to American black men. I'm not saying that this isn't something that occurs in other communities of people or even in the diaspora, but it appears more commonly, I would say, probably within our culture, and it's extremely concerning. In no way, shape, or form should this pattern become a norm. It shouldn't become a part of black American culture, because when you have a faction of black men with an expectation of being taken care of by a woman, understand that in the eyes of society, it diminishes our masculinity. It makes the woman look like she's the alpha in the situation, and you basically appear to be a beta male because that's what you are bringing into the relationship. Sexual prowess is something that may temporarily satisfy your partner's need, but it doesn't help establish any real tangible foundations other than creating children, which does nothing if you don't have the income to support a child. And I said it before, and I will repeatedly say this: black women, it is not your job to hold a man down. He should be able to hold himself up first and then hold you. Then and only then should that be worthy of any type of praise. A relationship in which the man moves in with the woman and doesn't contribute anything is basically like how she described this man, dead weight. And it's like, well, she can do all of these things and take on life's day-to-day challenges before your arrival. So what is your goal, your intentions, your purpose in entering into someone else's life when you can't provide those things for yourself? And what I'll do is I'll go ahead and leave the link for this video in the description box as well, in case you guys want to see the outcome of that case. And I know some of you will have plenty to say, but just remember this: I made this video with the intention of recognizing a stagnant and regressive pattern of behavior in hopes to help alleviate or interrupt a toxic pathology, since we deal with so many stereotypes and negative connotations from society on a routine basis. And I'm ready for your judgmental comments in the comment section below, so make sure you guys go ahead, like, comment, subscribe, and share the video, and I will talk to you guys in the next one.